What's going on, guys? Sean here from Hammerhead Garage. It's another Sunday night edition of my, whatever you want to call it, weekly podcast, weekly get together with you guys. See, I got a nice little fire on there. Not too cold here in Nova Scotia this week. Weather's been pretty good. Anyway, tonight's topic for discussion is called Low Buck Hot Rods. I did a video not too long ago on affordable hot rods, so I guess it kind of ties in with that. The affordable hot rods one was about things that I do, like buying and selling and trading parts in order to build something cheap. And it follows along the same theme, but tonight we're going to talk about if you got the funds, if you've done some horse trading and you've traded some parts or whatever it is, and you've got some funds together, well, where do you go from there for the pure beginner? And I got some tips and tricks for you, the things that have worked for people in the past, things that have worked for me in the past. So we'll go over some of that stuff, and you guys feel free to chime in anytime you'd like here. I'm just enjoying a nice coffee, and I look forward to these Sunday night things, like to get a chance to get together and talk with people and learn things that I don't know. And it's a good brew. Anyway, so a lot of people get wound up and they get caught up in the whole got to be perfect. It's got to be high dollar in order for it to be cool kind of thing. And I don't understand. I guess that a lot of that comes from television. It comes from like Motor Trend or like from some of these big shows and like Street Outlaws and all that. And, really it doesn't have to be. The grand majority of us are working class, poor people that don't really have a whole lot of dollars to put into this stuff. Now, that's not to say you can't have something nice. You can't have something decent. It just comes down to knowing where to put your money that you do have available into this type of hobby. Obviously, something that drives, stops, and steers is better than something that maybe lives in a garage covered in kids' toys. I don't know how many projects I've seen. So I've seen some pretty cool ones, old muscle cars and like T-buckets and stuff like that they're sitting in people's garages, and they bought them like 20 years ago with the intention of fixing them up. But now they're just like, they're a rest spot for kids' toys in the garage and boxes and stuff piled up on top of them. Unfinished projects. People had the greatest intentions of working on it, and then life got in the way or whatever it might be, right? But sometimes the reasons why those projects don't get finished isn't necessarily that they don't have the money. What it is sometimes is they're waiting for it to become perfect. They're waiting for all the perfect high dollar popular parts to automatically appear and to go on it. Or maybe they don't have the knowledge to put it all together or even know what exactly it is they want to build. The most important thing of all, I think personally, is, hey, Admiral Sandwich, nice seeing you, is to have something that maybe, it's not exactly what you want, and it's not as cool as you want right now, but maybe it runs, it drives, it's reliable. I'd rather have something that runs and drives and is semi-reliable any day of the week over some project that's going to sit in a garage covered in kids' toys. You know what I mean? So maybe it ain't perfect, but I mean, it's running, right? That's the whole battle. Like Dale Wilson said, he said, listen, once you get the thing running and driving, man, that's 3/4 of the battle. The rest of it's easy. So you can always make it into something you want. Yeah, Admiral Sandwich, I know what I want. I want something with a huge motor, like an 8.1. Well, yeah, man, totally. But I mean, you don't have to spend a gazillion dollars to get that. I mean, just get something that you can work on while you drive it. And I'll be completely honest. I like looking at the high dollar hot rods, like with the fancy paint and all that, but it really doesn't appeal to me, man. I'll be completely honest on that. I'd rather have a friggin' car in primer that runs the way I want it to run and works the way I want it to work than something that's got like 20 grand worth of paint on it. Paint's just paint. I remember when I was working in Raceway Park back in the 80s and in the early 90s, and I used to work in the burnout box. I used to back the cars up into the water for the burnout. And I saw this drag car. I think it was a Henry Hudson or something. It was an old car, and it had a monster motor in it. and the thing just sounded like pure hell. And it was running, and it had a sticker on the back windshield that says "Looks don't make it go." And I always remembered that, and I'll always remember it. That thing was like it was a 9-second car, and it definitely lived up to the sticker on the back window. So I mean, again, like, does it drive? Does it stop? Does it steer? Yes. Well, cool. Right on. You got something to work with, right? You can always make it cool as you go along, as you drive the thing, right? Just get it on the road, get working on it. It's sad, man, seeing all these projects that are sitting in people's garages and shops, and they're not doing anything with them, But that is another thing I want to talk about, is that's a great place to get a project for not a lot of money sometimes. You can find projects that people have given up on, or maybe the wife says, look, you've had it for 15 years. You haven't done anything with it. Time for it to move on. That happens a lot. And then sell it to some dude that, was going to do something with it. And that's a great way to get a project started. It's a car that somebody already has, and maybe they put some parts into it, or they fix some of the things that were wrong with it that you can pick up for not a whole lot of cash and get flying on it, right? So that's a good idea. A lot of guys say, well, I don't know, I can't afford 10 grand for a motor. Okay, well, you don't have to have 10 grand for a motor. There's a gazillion 350 Chevys out there that you can get at the junkyard, or are still good motors. A good place to look for a motor is get one out of an old motor home, maybe that only has like 50,000 miles. Get an old motor home for cheap and get the motor out of that. Then all you got to do is like put a good set of heads on it, put a cam in an intake, and you're off to the races, But the main point of all this is you got to have a plan, right? Write it down on paper. Like, I know, like, we're all like computer literate and everything, but you know what? I still rely on this, man. The pen and the paper. I write a lot of shit down, and it's mostly because I don't have a great memory. I can easily put it on electronic discs and stuff, or like a flash drive or something like that. But I just write her down on paper, man. I'm old school, right? But yeah, Herbal Sandwich. My problem is with project cars. People want their money out and break even. Yeah, I know. There's a lot of them out there too. But there's sometimes though, when the wife's putting pressure on these guys to get rid of them, and the old saying goes, dude, if you show up with some cash, even if it isn't what they're asking, if you got money in hand, that means a lot. I've gotten some cars from people over the years where thousands of dollars less than what they were asking, just because I happened to be there at that moment with the money in hand, right? And I usually took it out and showed the guy I got cash, right? But yeah, that's a good point. But anyway, yeah, you can get a motor, a good engine with low miles for no money. I've got one right now. I've got a 302 sitting there with 88,000 kilometers for my Canadian brethren. That's about 57,000 miles for my American friends. And it doesn't need to be rebuilt. All it needs is a oil pan gasket, and bolt your stuff to it and run it, and it'd go on forever, that thing, right? So junkyard's good, scrap yards, abandoned or forgotten projects. Yeah, your Admiral Sandwich, you'll rate your stuff on a phone, but not paper. Yeah, well, you're probably a younger guy, and the younger generation, that's what they do. I mean, I'm still, you're going to laugh, but here's my phone, okay? Here's my phone. You guys know what this is? I mean, some of you guys probably don't even know what this is. It's called a flip phone. See? That's my telephone. I'm in the cellular range or era, but I'm in the old school cellular era, right? Eventually, one of these days, though, I'll have to convert over to a flat phone. I won't have any choice. But no, I mean, just write stuff down. That's all I'm saying. And you can get a good idea as to build yourself a complete picture out of what it is you want or what it is you're trying to do. Write it all down. That's what I did for all my projects, pretty much. Just wrote everything down. The engine I wanted, the transmission I wanted, the rear end I wanted. Just write it all out. Just design the whole car right on paper or on your phone or something, right? But anyway, yeah, you can, he says he knows what a flip phone is. That's cool. You know what, though? These are the last flip phones out there. I tried getting a better one, couldn't do it. So, but anyway, that's another topic of discussion. But yeah, you have a plan for what you want. Junkyard. If you don't know how to weld, guys, learn. Okay. You know, want to know how I learned? I went to night school. I took night courses. Okay. And then I worked up north. I worked in Baffin Island, and I was a swamper up there, which means I had a 6x6 Kenworth, and I used to fuel up heavy equipment, and I had a mechanics shop in the back of my truck. But anyway, I used to sneak off in between shifts over to the welding yard, and I'd go out there and I'd cut steel for them. And in turn for cutting out plate steel with a torch, the welders there would show me little tricks on how to weld. They'd show me little, like how to like multi-position weld and how to set up the machine. And you soak all that shit in, and then you practice it. I was able to practice on their dime, essentially, right? So you can take a night course, learn to weld. If you've got a welder and you got steel and you've got a plan, you can build an enormous pile of cool shit for almost no money at all, right? So that's another good thing to do. Again, don't worry about the paint and the body work and the shiny. If you want it shiny, that can come later. If you don't know how to do body work, go to the library, get some books. Or it's 2020, go on the internet and start taking some, I think they even have e-courses. I know there's some YouTube courses body shops offer where you can learn how to put panels in, how to use fiberglass, how to block sand, how to put primer sealer on, how to paint. There's a ton of different things you can learn how to do, right? Knowledge is power, boys. Knowledge that you get or acquire is never wasted in life, ever, right? I've taken things before, like I'm a second-year plumbing apprentice. I never stayed in the trade, but I still have that knowledge, right? And it's never wasted. You'll never go astray by learning something. Not to say I know everything, man. I don't. I learn all the time. I learn from you guys. I learn stuff from watching, 50 Tussin and watching Skull Garage, and I learn from watching Nick's Garage and Cold War Motors and Uncle Tony's Garage. I learn shit from everywhere, right? And as an old dog like me to still be able to learn is, it's pretty cool, right? Anyway, low buck hot rods. As long as it drives, as long as it stops, as long as it steers, you're gravy, you're golden. You can build it from there. I mean, you'll come across, if you guys are in the States, some of you guys are in the States, you got access to like, what do they call them there? Not flea markets, but like, what's the word I'm looking for? They have these big outdoor markets, like almost like a garage sale when it's just cool auto parts and stuff. Go to those places. Get a cam, get a set of lifters, get a set of pistons, have a plan of what you want, and then start accumulating the stuff, right? And you can build it for like no money. And the guys that do have the cash and they don't have all the skill, there's nothing wrong with taking it to somebody to get them to do it. But just try and learn it yourself, and shop around for the best deal, because I'm a mechanic. I do it for a living. And there's good deals and bad deals, just like there's good mechanics and bad mechanics. You got to kind of shop around to know what it is you're getting or who it is you're dealing with. You got to find somebody honest, man. I mean, that's a hard thing in 2020. It really is. Hope I'm not slurping too loud for you guys, but I got to drink this coffee when it's hot. But anyway, that's just some ideas for low buck stuff. Like I said, maybe it isn't the 68 fastback that you've always wanted, but it's like something else. Maybe you got a body style maybe that somebody doesn't like much. Like maybe it's like a 75 Dart or something, or whatever it might be. Something that's not quite in the cool zone, but you can make it that way is what I'm trying to tell you. You can take some piece of shit that nobody wants and turn it into a diamond. And that, to me, like I said in other videos, that is the pure quintessential essence of hot rodding, is being able to take something that's crap and turn it into something nice, right? And by nice, I don't mean shiny paint and like $1 million interior. I mean something that's cool, that looks good, sounds good, and you enjoy riding, driving. That's the fun part for me. I like wrenching, obviously. I wouldn't have become a mechanic if I didn't, but I like driving the things. Like I like getting in and blasting gears. I like burnouts. I like power shifting. I like all that stuff, right? To me, that's the great part about it, is there's no feeling finer. If I can steal a word from the movie Christine, you guys probably have seen that movie with the 57 Plymouth Fury. There's nothing finer than being behind the wheel of your own automobile, and especially one that you've built, you've taken the time to know. And see, that's the great thing about my truck, my Ranger. I know every single nut and bolt and fastener on that thing because I've been all over all of them. So I know everything, about that thing. So if it starts giving me fits or giving me grief, I know where to go looking, right? And that's the other thing too. You'll get to know your machinery so much better if you've built it yourself or you've made it yourself, right? So, I mean, look around for deals. Sometimes they're asking a whole pile of money, but if you actually show up with cash, you'll get a good deal. Search around. Don't lowball the guy. If he's got something that's decent, pay decent money for it. But it doesn't mean has to be a fortune. I mean, maybe if you got a certain trade and this guy's looking for this kind of work, maybe you can work a deal out with him. Look, man, I'll give you 5 hours of free labor and a little bit of cash for this or whatever, right? That comes back to my other video, affordable hot rodding, where you're doing the wheeler dealer side of things, right? So there's other ways and lots of ways you can do it. The main thing though is to get out there and actually do something, right? Talking's fine, and I enjoy talking, but I like wrenching better. I mean, just get out and do it, man. Don't be one of these guys that buys a project and then leaves it in their garage to get covered in kids' toys and boxes and dirt and 2 inches of dust and stuff, right? Just so what if it isn't the engine that you want right now, or it's not the rear end or the body style you want? Just start collecting parts. Eventually you'll come across the cool deals with the cool parts and you can build something like what you want, right? Like maybe you'll find a guy that's he's got the body style or car that you want, but it's got no drivetrain in it. He sold the drivetrain. He just has a rolling chassis. You might be able to work out a deal, for a good straight car, and you already have the motor and the tranny that you've been looking for. You've already got it, right? So I mean, then you can marry the pieces together and come up with the whole, right? And that's what I do. Is like I get an idea. Like I knew for my business I needed a truck. Okay, so rather than just driving some shitty old truck that I didn't really like, I went and I found myself a Ranger, but not just any Ranger, a square body Ranger, the early ones. I like those, right? They're small little utility trucks. And then I was thinking, well, I like hot rods too. So how can I make the two of them kind of work together? So what I built is my vision, right, of what I wanted. You could do the same for any truck or any car, really. I talked to a guy there last week. He had it's not a popular body style. And it wasn't even when it was new. It was a Pinto. I think it was a 75 or 6 Ford Pinto, and they weren't great cars, boys. They were dangerous as hell. A lot of them used to catch fire, believe it or not. But yeah, going down the road, the back end of them, the gas tank would explode and it would be burning. So I mean, they're not a real popular body style, but he found this car, and this guy had it, and it was pretty straight. It needed a floor, so he welded a floor into it, and now he built this cool little motor in 4-speed that he's sticking in there. And at the end of it, he's going to have himself a really cool little hot rod for not a lot of money. And it's something that he can get in and drive and be proud of and work with, right? And just get it rolling, get it moving. And you can I was watching Skull Garage video today. Justin's got that Nova. And I've gone back into their videos about 7 years, and I've watched all their videos. And I watched the day he got that Nova and how far he's come with that car. And I mean, it's a miracle. And Dale too, with his 57 with Bad Penny. But the Nova, he's going to go twin turbo. So there wasn't any turbo hats available for a tunnel ram with 2 carburetors. So he made one. He found some metal and he bent it and shaped it and welded it up, and he's making it. That's cool as hell, man. That's real hot rodding, right? He's going to turbo the sucker. They changed the gears in it there. They put a 273 in it, and to try and put a different stall, a B&M stall, different stall converter in there to try and get it set up for boost, because the turbos are going to add about 200 horsepower. That engine he's got in there is a 388, I believe. It's a stroker, and it's already making gobs of power. I mean, I think it was Bristol. Dale would know, but yeah. So I mean, the car is already quick. So he puts these turbos on it, and the great thing about it is when he's not in the boost, the thing's going to get still be decent. He'll probably be able to cruise with it with that lower gear, right? Which is probably something Justin's not been able to do for a long time with the higher gear in that thing. It'll probably just eat fuel. But anyway, that's what I'm saying. Have a plan for your rigs and go through with it. And I think you'll be pleasantly surprised as to the outcome. But the main thing is just to get out there and get it together, get your plan on paper, start finding the parts, and get the dream together, right? Because at the end of the day, boys, if we don't have dreams, what's the point, right? Really. So anyway, I'm not here to lecture you. Those are just some of my thoughts. Take it for what it is. If you like this video, please like, please comment, please subscribe if you haven't subscribed already. And we'll catch you guys on the next one. Peace out.